Hello, everybody. I'm Andrea, and this is Urban Creative Talks about sustainability in the Czech Republic. Our guest today is Kamila Boudová, a sustainable fashion expert and educator. Hi, Kamila. Welcome to our show today.
Hello, everybody. What a pleasure.
Yes, it's exciting to be talking to you today, finally. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your dream and what's your journey.
I might be crying because I'm always very touched by my dream. I basically studied fashion design and then worked in Germany and London and Paris and studied fashion business as well as my MBA. And I love the industry. And at one point in my career, I figured out that it's so dirty and it's killing people and it's ruining this planet. And the system, the way it is today, makes just no sense whatsoever. And so I left my corporate career, hit 1 year of a total life crisis, not knowing what to do with my life. But since I only know fashion, this is the only thing I know. I've decided to protect planet through fashion and create a new fashion system that's going to be meaningful for all its stakeholders. So
Yeah,
it's
it's
being
amazing.
mission now.
Yeah, wow. It's really inspiring, I think. And have any of these been shared by your family to you, or did they make you aware of these things growing up?
Yeah, like my great grandmother had a farm and we had a house with a garden and my mother was always composting. Like that, there was a lot of respect to nature and
Mm-hmm.
admiration to all the forms that nature is taking. And a lot of times in mountains and forests is like a weekend trips.
Yeah.
So I definitely had a connection with nature and affinity to this simple and meaningful way of living. So that definitely was there. The fact that I got into fashion, nobody understood. So this is my own journey in it.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And you were talking about studying in Paris, London, and Shanghai. What did you learn in terms of sustainable fashion from each of them?
Ooh. In London, I didn't study there. I only worked there.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't learn much about sustainability in none of those cities,
Okay.
but I mostly learned about how the system works today, why it is unsustainable, how is it possible that the brands don't know where the clothes are made, that everything is just written on the papers. The papers must be signed by the suppliers, but the suppliers are lying. They are not they signed the paper to get a business, but they are breaking those promises. And that's
Mm.
why we have today conditions of modern slavery. That's why we have forced labor, because the business is happening on the other side of the planet. The brands put such a conditions that you cannot do it in an ethical way.
Yeah.
And so you have to put people in those conditions because the pressure on the prices is so strong. So I mainly learned this about fashion in those cities in this in fashion in Paris and in London. This is like where I hit the total crisis and I stopped shopping for several years and I still haven't been back to it. Now I bought maybe like 2 pieces of underwear in some smaller brand that has chain of stores, but like it changed completely my life. Like the system that which in which we are making fashion today is totally destructive.
Yeah, there is one example, Bangladesh, where people receive 84 euros per month to produce clothes for big fashion companies. And their argument for doing this is that they bring employment to poor countries like this one. What is your position regarding that? Can this pattern be broken somehow?
Well, first of all, I think 84 euros in Bangladesh for working in the garment industry, that would be already good news. Like this is the official number. Statistics and not everybody working
Mm-hmm.
in the garment industry supply chain is getting this money, even if they
Mm-hmm.
are working overtimes. Like I heard about 8 euros a month when
Oh,
the rent is 10 euros for a bed, not even a room, let alone a flat. So
that's terrible.
yes. My point on this is that it's a human aspect, you know,
Yeah.
everything that's happening on this planet in terms of a human activity is a human aspect. If there are people who are ignorant and greedy, then the system can work, but we all have a choice to support this or to break free from that and create
Mm.
the world we want to live in, either with our businesses or with the money we are spending. We have this choice. So for me, I call it values revolution. This is what I'm leading daily with my life now, which is about showing people that there are more meaningful ways to dress up, that you don't need to buy always new, that actually buying a lot of new cheap clothes is not a good thing for your status. This is obsolete. Like, nobody's gonna respect you in today's economy and ecologic situation for the fact that you have the latest trend clothes. It's over. It's
Yeah.
over. You are going
Yeah.
to be respected for wearing all the time the same thing, or inherited, secondhand, swapped, repaired. These are the values that are going to be what you want to wear to be respected and accepted in the society. So I think this is the way to change it. If this is the question, the way to
Mm-hmm.
change it is we change the values. We change our source of status and personal pride, and then this is going to change.
Yeah. I like that a lot, and it's also about changing the way the society works and what is important for us as human beings. You mentioned fast, cheap clothes. That is exactly what contributes to fast fashion, and that is how we took the trends from the catwalk and we transformed them in a big industry, in a trying to produce similar clothes to the catwalk and selling them cheap to people and renewing our wardrobe every season. Could you maybe explain in your own words how is this fast fashion harming the planet, and how do you think it took over?
Yes, I know how it took over, or I heard, and it makes sense. But basically, to start with this, it was in the 50s after the World War.
Mm-hmm.
The America and Europe were thinking, mostly in Europe, we were thinking how we are going to boost the economy. So we need to, the people started buying. But after the World War, there was nothing in Europe. Even in the, the textile factories, they wouldn't take any risk of printing a fabric. Like, leave this alone. It's too
Yeah.
risky. They had to make sure that they're going to sell every single meter of what they are going to produce. There was little money, so they were just producing everything gray, black, navy blue, if I'm talking about France concretely.
Yeah,
And
and I remember my mom talking exactly about the same thing
yeah,
in Romania.
yeah, in Romania, and yeah, this was after the World War, and then we hit the Eastern Bloc, we hit the
Yeah.
communism, so the situation rapidly changed from the Western world. But it was first, it started with encouraging the companies to uh, to create beautiful products that people are going to buy, and give them more confidence that if you make something beautiful, people are going to spend money on it. This is how it started, and it was industrialized production, so there was a like big capacity to create a lot of it. And okay, it's like we have plenty of people, everybody needs shoes, fair enough. This is how it started. There was like a governmental incentive to encourage the companies to make beautiful products and to change them, like to put in place those trends, like twice a year you have a new collection. This is how it
Mm-hmm.
started. And then the business people saw that this is a great way to make bucks. And so they turned it into culture. It's like shopping is a way of living. If you are not part of the society, but then you are out. And nobody really wants to be out. We are still animals that needs to belong to the
Yeah.
crowd. You don't want to be out. You don't want to be perceived as somebody who is poor, because there is this value that rich people have somehow more value than poor people. Like it dominated the values of the society that make no sense. It's also the feeling of everybody can be rich, everybody can, but it's not true. Like, let's face it, it's a society where somebody has more money than others. And if you are telling the people who are socially, economically not as strong as the high class, and you are telling them that having new clothes, always having new clothes, is like a part of the status of being rich. So you will feel like you are rich if you keep spending money on cheap, disposable, low quality fashion. But this is not like, this is what we are told. That is not true. Like, you don't feel any richer. You are feeling in more and more financial trouble if you do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not the real value. It's not something that's going to, in long term, improve your life. It's just going to give you this like a quick adrenaline or endorphin rush that, oh, I bought something new, so I'm part of this modern society. But like, luckily, I can say it's obsolete. It's not going to continue this way. And the values of um, humbleness, dignity of all of us. It's not just that the people who are economically weaker, that they are going to have these values. No, it's like a respect to my resources, financial priorities that are focused on long-term well-being and not chasing status and not showing off with how much I just spent on new clothes. And we are really educated by marketing and society in this way. It's extreme, but this is what it really is today, or what it was yesterday, and it's luckily it's changing today. We are moving to a new
Right.
economy, new values.
Exactly. And when you mentioned long-term living, long-term fashion, I immediately thought about sustainable fashion because it's meant to be long-term and it's meant to think about how to protect the environment as well. And for our listeners, I know there are so many definitions out there of being sustainable. What would be sustainable fashion for you?
Okay, I have several explanations. Maybe my favorite is that it's a fashion that is made with respect to environment and people.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most basic definition, and a lot of things can fall under this. You can then take the principles of circular economy. So it's not only about making new fashion. A lot it's today about sharing fashion, about upcycling dead stock textiles, upcycling secondhand clothes into new pieces. And it's nothing less than beautiful. Like, often the sustainable fashion and all these like eco-friendly green alternatives are not really beautiful. They are not aesthetically appealing. They are not giving us the status of living a modern life and being this dynamic women we want to be. But sustainable fashion has all of this for us. Firstly, because just if you have something more than 5 years, call it sustainable. Like, I have almost all my wardrobe, or like many of the pieces, are 10 years old. I have winter boots, I have trousers, I have tops that I have had since 10 years, still wearing them. It's sustainable the moment you keep it that long.
Yeah.
The second thing is secondhand is a sustainable option. So you can just go to the secondhand, and it's kind of sharing of our wardrobes. You can go online to Vinted or any other platform where you can get a secondhand clothes. And this is sustainable. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be cheap. It can be still fashionable. It can be still
Can it be still
giving you,
glamorous?
yeah, glamorous, and giving you this status of dynamic modern woman or person, like being part of the modern society. So all this is there. And then if it is about the brands who are producing sustainable fashion, it is about the choice of materials, of course. It's about designing. It's about knowing how to recycle the product once nobody wants it. So made to disassemble, made to recycle. These are the basic principles. It's about using organic materials and not mixing them with something that cannot be put back to the compost. You know, like just you're really thinking about the end of life.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to mention here that for the labels, the most important for us as consumers is to look on the labels and try not to buy clothes that have too many textiles combined there. So we could aim for 1 or 2 maximum, because this makes it easier than to disassemble it, as you said, and recycle it.
To recycle it. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then it can be upcycling, which means you take the secondhand clothes, like you take a woolen coat for men and you turn it into a vest for women. And it's the most beautiful piece in my wardrobe. Like I have this from the Czech brand Sutu that will be at SLOU Days. We will get into this.
Yeah.
And there's like plenty of brands that are super fashionable, super out there. Designers at London Fashion Week that are working with like a army deadstock, you know, old parachutes, old army uniforms, and they just turn it into the high design pieces. So all this is possible. Upcycling, recycling, taking plastic from the oceans, turning it into textiles, and the textile into yoga wear. So all this exists, and all this is beautiful. Very, you know, these companies, they do great marketing and everything. It's as good in terms of visual and image as what you would get anywhere else, like the majority of the fashion, but it has a true meaning and it's bringing true solutions to the current circumstances we have.
Definitely. So it's beautiful, it's meaningful, and it's unique, I would say. None of the pieces that they are upcycling are looking the same. They are unique in their own way. I wanted to ask you about your wardrobe, because you mentioned you have a sustainable wardrobe. How many items does it contain, and what piece of your wardrobe is an evergreen of all times?
Oh my, I am now in a really bad shape with my wardrobe. It usually it'd be like really the 35, 40 pieces. This would be my normal. And now, because I'm preparing an online classes on slow styling, so how to stop shopping and start invest in yourself. And I call it, excuse my French, your closet is part of the journey, you know, that you treat the pieces inside. So now I got into something like 80 pieces, which I think is still very small wardrobe. But yeah, now I'm getting to the situation that majority of women have. My closet is totally packed and I have nothing, like I have hard times taking something to wear. And it's also part of the personal journey, you know, like when you transform and you change and now suddenly there is nothing that would really express who you are in your closet, because you change how you see yourself and you change how you want to show up in the world, and now suddenly all the dresses are old. It's not you anymore. So I am now in this stage, and the evergreen pieces that are definitely coming with me to the next stage of my life are, for example, those trousers, and I bought them in Mango in London. I'm 33 now. I bought them 11 years ago, and they look exactly the same as the moment I bought them. So I would not even be an ambassador of saying never go shopping into chain stores, you know, like you can definitely buy their pieces that's gonna live the lifetime with you. The pockets inside, they ripped, you know, so you see that there were some material that were not qualitative and I have to repair this. But a part of that, oh, they are just perfect. They are like high waist, dark gray. I'm wearing them. Just yesterday I was wearing them. So 11 years always with me in my closet. It's incredible. So this is my evergreen.
Yeah.
And also in London, I bought those winter boots, but then I got like a barefoot pair of boots at SLOU Days from one of our vendors. So I changed those, but I bought myself designer shoes from one Czech brand, Cthulhu. And they are made in Czech Republic from Czech leather, and they are just wow. They are like a leather, full leather, from the top to the sole, they are just leather, and they are beautiful. They're like printed like a giraffe, but it was a goat. I'm vegetarian, but still wearing leather shoes. And so this is like, you know, I paid him like 350 euros. And it's not, you know, if I buy myself a pair of shoes every year, or if I buy myself 3 pairs of shoes every year because it's trendy and cheap, I would never buy myself this beauty, you know.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
every time I put this pair on, first of all, I know it's with me for a lifetime because I can get them repaired, you know, like they're just with me for a lifetime. But every time I wear them, I feel the luxury. I feel how much I respect myself, how much I respect the artisans, the designer, my country, the planet, because I'm choosing as local as possible. It cannot go any more local, you know, with the material to the manufacturing all in one country. So like it's like an experience every time I put them on. And I believe that no pair of shoes that you buy like cheap in sales from plastic can provide you with this if you have them for 3 months. I have those since 3 years, and the love is just growing. They are awesome. I love them.
It's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely am for investing in very qualitative materials, and for also being aware of what you're doing with your piece of clothing once you don't need them anymore. So let's say, yeah, your wardrobe at some point reaches a higher number of items, but then if you take the time to donate those clothes to some companies that recycle them, and you know that they are not going to lay in the landfill, then it's still a sustainable way of acting, I think.
This question is very hard, and it's part of my next mission in my life, because today the most sustainable thing you can do with your clothes is to give them to your neighbor, to your friends, to like locally pass them on. That's the best thing you can do. Swap parties. There will be a big swap next to SLOU Days in Prague. So and like this is the most sustainable thing you can do, but we know the quality of the clothes today. It's not gonna often sustain 3 people. It's not gonna survive 3 owners. Like it's one person, 5 washes, and you cannot even use it to wipe a floor because it's plastic and it does not absorb anything. So what do we do with all that? And it really comes to the answer of we have to recycle it. But we are only recycling 1% of textiles today. 1% of all the garbage is recycled. So this is my next mission. We need to increase this capacity. So it's one of the projects I'm working on now, to build a factory to recycle textiles in Czech Republic or Central Europe.
Oh, that's amazing news.
Right? Yes, I have to talk about it to make it happen, but no, it started, so it's happening. That's one thing. Or maybe somebody else is going to do it. I'll be happy with that, but somebody has to bring the solution.
I think there is enough space for more than one. So even if our listeners get ideas to build one, go for it.
So that's one thing. But you know, if you donate the clothes to a charity, or you put them in this textile collecting trash bin, or you give them to any take back program in the stores, they will like grade them. So if you can sell something in the second hands locally in Europe, this is the most beautiful clothes and so on, they're going to stay in Europe. It's already good news. But majority of it is going to be exported. It's going to go to developing countries where it's creating more problems.
Yeah.
It's messing up with the local economy because the money is going out, because they are importing second-hand clothes that in the end they cannot develop their own apparel industry. They are flooded with second-hand clothes. If they ban it, they are going to be punished by the international lobby, you know. So there are agreements between the countries that we are going to give you some investment into your development, but you have to keep importing the second-hand clothes. And you know, like, it's so unfair to these developing countries, and they have no solutions. There is no textile recycling factory in Africa, nowhere. So no, it's like the only good thing you can do with your clothes is to turn them around, like swap them locally. But once you donate them, there is little control of what is happening with it. There's not much of it that's recycled or downcycled into isolation for construction or padding in the seats and stuff. You know, you can use the old textiles for this, but it's still like fraction. So complicated, mostly landfill, incinerators, and more of a problem somewhere in developing countries.
Switching to Slow Fashion Days, the event that you organize in the Czech Republic, I know that you bring together local designers conscious about their impact on the environment and the society. What was your inspiration to create such an event here?
Thank you for this question. In 2013, it's a long story, but 2013, Rana Plaza collapsed. You know, it was a big building in Bangladesh, and over 1,000 people died just because they went to work making cheap clothes for us. I almost want to cry every time I say it. I find it just horrible. And the same year, there were two ladies in UK who said this was the last time. We never want to see those news again. And so they launched a campaign that's called Fashion Revolution. And I represented this campaign locally in Czech Republic and Slovakia. I started talking in newspapers, like I got media, Czech TV approaching me with asking me for interview to tell them more about this. And by the time it was like I was deep in sustainability for like 2 years by that time. Okay, I started before Rana Plaza. It was not the breaking point for me, and neither for those two ladies in UK. But I got into the media, and people ask me, so what shall we do? What shall we do? And this is where the SLOU Days just like came up. It's like, if you don't know where to go shopping for sustainable fashion, for fashion that's made with more respect to the planet than the majority of the fashion out there, this is our selection. These are our criteria. You can find it online. You can find it at the event. Come, we're going to gather them all together, and you will see what it is a normal price for clothes. Because don't ask why this is so expensive, and I don't even consider it expensive, to be honest. But don't ask why they are charging those prices. Ask, how come that you can make a t-shirt for €2? Like, how is this possible? Because if you are not paying for it, somebody else is. It's either the nature, or it's the people who are not paid, it's the children who are working in those factories. Like, someone else is paying for our cheap clothes. So this is how it started.
How would the Slow Fashion Day look like? What is happening there? Take us with our minds there.
Yes, it's a multi-brand pop-up store of sustainable fashion, organic cosmetics, and accessories. It's a selection of the brands who have their heart in it and they want to bring solutions with their business. We have organic cotton or organic materials, clothes there. We have recycled materials. We have a lot of the upcycling brands, which I totally love. You know, like pieces from secondhand that are then printed with beautiful designs, or old clothes that are made into like new pieces, like designer clothes. I love it. Like beautiful projects. We have the organic cosmetics. We have some jewelry, some accessories. So you can really find your full closet there, almost full lifestyle. And then we have an info zone, but we will have only one block in English this season about the latest innovations in sustainable materials. We will actually have a guest from Italy, and she is like the woman of sustainable textiles in Europe. She is the speaker at the biggest event. She is even putting together the program for the biggest textile event in Paris about sustainable textiles. You know, she is amazing. And Juicy is going to come herself with her team, and they are going to bring the latest sustainable textile, and they will be at the event for the 2 days. So this is our English block. Otherwise, we will have a concert of Emma Smetana and Jordan in the evening, singing in English. So you can enjoy this with us on Friday evening, the 17th of September. And otherwise, you can always come, have a look at the brands, what they are doing, smell it, touch it, try it on. Yeah, it's still pretty English friendly. I speak English. If you meet me, you can
Yeah.
come and say hi. And next to SLOU Days, there will be 1 week swap party. So you can bring
Mhm.
pieces you are not wearing. You can also bring some, decorations for flats, more small items that you don't use, don't enjoy anymore, and you can bring them to the swap party. And at our websites, you can buy the tickets for both of the events at the same time.
Right. I don't know about our listeners, but I'm definitely sold, so I will be joining you there. Is there a dimension of clothing circularity during the slow fashion days? I mean, people can come to donate things there.
Yes, if you have some clothes that really are just to be thrown away, we collaborate with H&M on the take back program. They are then sending the textiles to Germany, where they are
Mhm.
making the maximum use of it. But it's still the same story. It's still the same
Mhm.
story, but they would be still like downcycling or recycling the materials that are collected. So yes, if you have some like clothes that you are sure nobody can make any use of it, you can bring them to SLOU Days. If you have stuff that we can make use of, you can bring the few pieces to the swap party and see if there is something you like for yourself. And also collaborate with Moment and other second hands.
Thank you for all this. Dear listeners, please check www.slow.cz for more details on how to register. And I would like to conclude our talk today with some questions about how one can get where you are today, because I think a lot of people out there admire your work, and I wanted to ask what hard, tangible skills would someone need to partner with you in a sustainable project, for example, or to become you in 3-5 years, or what competencies they would need?
This is so sweet, Andrea. Just before I get into this very touching question, guys, it's spelled SLOU. It's called,
Yeah.
yeah, we read it slow, of course, but it's SLOU.
Yes.
And wow, becoming me in 3 years, I think it depends on where you're going from, where you're coming from. And okay, wow, that was a very long journey, but I would still tell you that it's a question of mindset. It's a question on how much you trust yourself. Just today, I was thinking about the sentence that I heard when I was like 14 years old. And there was some Middle Ages market in some small town in Czech Republic. And there was a guy who was making jewelry from iron. I was astonished by the fact that he makes his living doing this. And he told me, it doesn't matter what you do. What matters is how you do it.
Mm.
And for me, this was a long journey to get to the point that today I am making my living being who I am. I'm calling it, I'm full-time myself, but it's very recent, you know. I've started like first on a bare existential minimum for a few years when I was just realizing that I cannot go back to fashion industry. And 8 years ago, sustainable fashion was not any in, you know, like today the situation is very different. It's much more favorable for anybody who would like to launch themselves in this topic. But 8 years ago, that was new. And it takes a lot of courage to decide to step out of the system that exists today and say new things and do new things and do things differently and say, I'm creating new system. I'm not fighting what is here now. I don't care. I don't want to change what is here now. I'm creating a new one, as many other people.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's the courage of giving up the old system, you know, like, okay, I'm not going to support it with my money. I'm not going to interact with it with my time and energy. I am creating new one. If the old system wants to support me in it, I will be happy, but it's not going to go the other way around. And I'm teaching also in Paris. I'm teaching at 3 different schools, sustainable
Mm-hmm.
fashion. So this was something that financially sustained me. Then I've published a few books, but it's more of a fun than an income opportunity. And I've actually just asked myself every day the same question, which is how can we slow down faster? How can we create the system? What is it I have to do to create this system? And when you have the right mindset, which I, by the way, didn't have, it's a long journey of a lot of coaches and now another online program and, like meeting people, talking and taking the courage to do it. But how can we create a system? What has to be done? And it was really literally a few weeks ago when I realized, okay, but somebody has to build that factory to recycle the textiles. But if nobody is going to raise the hand, I will do it. But I believe with, this is called growth mindset. I believe I can learn anything. I can find people who are going to help me. I can find the skills that I need. And so I can be positive and confident to say, let's build that factory. And maybe maybe I'm not going to do it myself. Maybe somebody else is going to do it. But let's talk about it. Let's focus on the solutions that we are putting in place. I'm now moving more to B2C because I was a lot about B2B, I was a lot about the backstage, about the business to business, about the technologies, the materials, the brands and all that. And now I'm more into leading this values revolution to people. So I am starting now my styling practice in Paris. And I'll be maybe the first ever Parisian stylist that is going to work with those principles of sustainable development. And still, it takes a lot of courage,
Yeah, I think it's amazing and very beautiful. I recommend to our listeners to get in touch with you, and who knows, maybe they will help you to build that factory. And I would like to know, what is your biggest inspiration in the sustainable fashion industry? What is the product or the startup or the company that you most admire?
Wow, there's many of them. For me, the first ever celebrity and the person I admire the most is William McDonough, who is the author of the principle and the book called Cradle to Cradle, where I first saw, this is the solution. Like, it is really deep change. It requires really deep change in the way we are thinking and we are making stuff, the way we are designing and the way we are buying. It's like, it's a whole new system. But he is totally my celebrity. I've never met him. He's an architect, and I don't think I will be lucky enough in this life to meet him. But cradle to cradle principle is like the biggest inspiration for me, and everything started like turning around this afterwards. Then there is Ellen MacArthur, who is a woman holding a world record in going on a sail around the globe alone in a record time. I don't know how long it was, for a few weeks, I guess. And she has Ellen MacArthur Foundation that is dedicated to to circular economy. That is very inspiring. Then I love the brand Christopher Raeburn. I love the guy himself. I've never met him again, but he's a London-based designer who is using dead stock from army, the parachutes and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I love his work. Absolutely adore it. Then there is another brand called Osclen, which is a sustainable luxury from Brazil. There is a beautiful movie about the brand and the founder, Oscar, on YouTube. And this guy I met, and oh my goodness, he helped me, for example, to open my mind about greenwashing, with the phrase, every kilogram of organic cotton is better than conventional cotton. Like, let's applaud these corporations that are doing something. Okay, they need to talk about it, fair enough, but let's open our hearts and our minds to their action. Whatever is the reason behind it, like, they have such a huge impact on the environment that if they do one little thing, it's going to make a huge positive impact. So he really helped me with seeing this in this way. And then it's called EcoAlf, Spanish based, and it's beautiful design. I so love it. EcoAlf. And it's all about recycling plastic. So plastic from ocean, old tires, and they are making like beautiful pieces with that. Then I like Mud Jeans, which is Netherlands-based company making jeans in a circular way. So they are recycling denim and making new denim with organic cotton and leasing the jeans. So they take them back and they recycle them. It's like, they are amazing. Then French brand Veja making sneakers. One more time, I know the founders because I've been in this area for a while. And yeah, there's like so many people doing such a great things. The founders of Fashion Revolution, Livia Firth, she is really involved in sustainability and giving great speeches and leading great projects. And Sonia Jonášová from Czech Republic, who has the INSIEN, who founded the
Circular Economy Institute.
Exactly,
Yeah.
she's a vision. There's like the people who are in this area of business, they are just it's such a beautiful community, you know. It's doing business for everybody around me. I am living my life with the mission to protect life. I always want to cry when I talk about this.
It's so beautiful hearing you talk about
right? I'm
all
so
these
lucky.
people. Yes, yes, and we are so lucky to learn from you. And I wanted to ask you if there are any exciting projects coming up, just to end our discussion with looking at the future.
I think I've kind of mentioned the two ways I'm taking now because when I started, it's a nice parallel, you know, 8 years ago or 7 years ago, when I was representing Fashion Revolution and I started SLOU Days, it was because I was telling people that the fashion that is out there is harming. And so I gave them the option, buy this, this is not harming, at least it's actually very good. So this was, you know, it has like a two ways that were parallel. I had to say, this is not good, but this is the solution. And what I'm doing now, what I'm preparing to do now is this styling career of mine. So I'm one more time in my life changing a career with the same purpose to create a new fashion industry, to create this values revolution. And I'm going to be the stylist and I'm going to go to people's closets through like online classes or in person and tell them, you know, you are not wearing 60 to 70% of what you have at home. My first client had over 200 pieces of clothes at home. She was hardly ever wearing them, right? And so, okay, let's take it out, like swap it, give it to somebody. But there's so many clothes, there's so much clothes in the world that we cannot wear it out, you know. And we are still producing more and more. So first of all, like, I'm going to teach the people to stop shopping and just consciously invest in their wardrobes to stop this madness, you know. And then the second part is like, okay, let's take the clothes out. But as we've just mentioned, not everything can be swapped or sent out or worn. There's stuff that must be recycled. So this is one more time, it's like, I will tell you what you have to do. The solution behind it is, okay, I'll take this textiles and recycle it, like give it some ecologically meaningful journey to go on, you know. So this is the exciting projects that are now on my desk, and I have also some books to be written.
A lot of things to do. I wish you good luck with everything, and I will take the time to say thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me, for having me, and I hope to see you all at SLOU Days. I would love to show you the world. It's beautiful.
We will be there with you. Thank you once again, and have a nice rest of the day.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check SLOU website. That's www.slou.cz for more content related to sustainability, wellness, art and urbanism. Visit urbancreatives.org. I have been Andreea Ștefănescu and you have been listening to Urban Stories. See you next time.